Good morning and good afternoon to many of you. This is Eric Gomez, president of Golden Boy. I want to welcome you to the official David Lemieux versus Gary O'Sullivan conference call. This fight will be part of the televised pay-per-view, as you know, for Canelo Golovkin 2. And we're very excited about this fight. The former IBF middleweight champion, David Lemieux, out of Montreal. He's going to be fighting against the Irish Warrior, Gary Spike O'Sullivan. Tremendous record, 28-2, 20 knockouts, out of Cork, Ireland. This special fight will be live at the T-Mobile Arena, as you know, on September 15th. It's part of the Undercard on HBO pay-per-view, where the main event will be Canelo versus Golovkin 2. This epic event will be produced by HBO, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. We're excited to bring you both of these fighters so you guys can ask them questions. They can talk about their fight. As many of you know, they've gone back and forth a little bit on social media. Also on the card, not on the call today, but as you know, it's the Mexican rising star Jaime Munguia defending his title against Brandon Cook. And Chocolatito will also be fighting against Moises Fuentes on the card. That's a 10-round super flyweight battle. You can still purchase tickets at the T-Mobile Arena. You can go online at www.tmobilearena.com or www.axs.com, or you can also call 1-888-9-AXS-TIX. Closed circuit tickets are also available to all the fans. You can buy them also at the MGM or at the Mandalay Bay, the Mirage, or the Luxor. Those are moving pretty well as well. Before we get you to introduce you to the fighters and have them say a few words, I do want to thank our amazing supporting sponsors for this event. Tecate, the official beer of boxing, Hennessy, Never Stop, Never Settle, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Fred Loya Insurance, Interjets, Venom, the movie, and Phantom Events. Now, I want to first introduce you to Gary Spike O'Sullivan, and I'll have him say a few words. Gary?
Hi, Rick. Listening.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your training, how it's going? Looking forward to this fight?
I can't wait. I'm really excited for this fight. It's my first time fighting in Vegas, and I'm super excited about the whole event. And my training's been going really good. Got on some really good sparring partners. Eliseo Saunders recommended some sparring partners that he used in preparation for Lemieux. So I've been using those guys, and I'm feeling really good.
That's great. That's great. Thank you very much, Gary. Now, the former champion, David Lemieux, if you can make some opening comments as well, please, David.
David's ready. It's been a long time. I have been waiting for a big fight like this, so I'm extremely ready and I'm extremely excited. You're going to see some sides of me that you haven't seen in a while. I'm very prepared for this fight. It's been a long time. I didn't have a preparation like this, so it's going to be devastating.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Okay, both fighters are ready to go and answer questions. So, operator, we can open up the lines for questions.
Thank you, sir. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touchtone phone. If you wish to be removed from the queue, you may press the pound sign or the hash key. If you're using your speakerphone, you may need to pick up on your handset first before pressing the numbers. Once again, to ask a question, please press star, then 1 on your touchtone phone. The first question queue comes from Sean Croce with Boxing Insider.
Hi, gentlemen. How are we doing today? Thanks for taking my call. I just have a question for both Mr. Lemieux and Mr. O'Sullivan. Some see this as a make-or-break fight for both of you. Do either of you see it that way, or do you simply see this as a fight that you just need to focus on exclusively and not worry about the bigger picture?
This fight's gonna get me back on top, so I'm preparing myself for that.
Okay, thanks. How about you, Mr. O'Sullivan?
Personally, it's nothing personal against Mr. Lemieux, but I think it's going to be a good night for me, and I'm not really concerned about Lemieux. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at Golovkin and Canelo. I'll be ringside to watch their fight after I beat Lemieux, and I can't wait to win one of those guys.
Okay, thank you both very much. All the best.
Okay, the next question in the queue comes from Mike Kopinger with The Ring.
Hi, this question is for David. I spoke to Billy Joe Saunders the other day, and of course he's a common opponent of both of you guys. He basically shut you both out, and he says that he has no doubt that Spike O'Sullivan's going to win. What do you say to that?
That's because he didn't fight Lemieux in his top shape, so I'm going to be in top shape against Spike. So, what's his name? Saunders, I wasn't at my top when I fought Saunders, so I will be against Sullivan.
And for you, Spike, does that mean anything to you that a common opponent is picking you in the fight?
I think he's correct. Saunders went to Lemieux's backyard and beat Lemieux convincingly in Quebec, whereas I went to London and fought Saunders in his own backyard and gave him a much better fight than Lemieux did, and I feel as though I'm a far better fighter even than I was then. So I think undoubtedly I got to be the one that's going to win the fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, to enter into the question queue, you may press *1 on your touchtone phone. The next question in the queue comes from Salvador Rodriguez with ESPN.
Hello, everybody right there. I have a couple of questions. First, for Eric Gomez. Eric, what is the play for these guys? I know that it's not a title match right now, but maybe the winner could be could get the golden ticket for fighting Canelo, for fighting maybe Golovkin. What is in play for these guys in September 15th?
Well, obviously, both fighters are top middleweights. They're definitely in the top 10, probably 5 in the middleweight division. So the winner's going to be in a very good position to fight any of the champions, whether it's the winner of Canelo Golovkin or any of the other champions. Both guys. This is to get to the next level, to get to that championship stage. So this can very well be an eliminator to become one of the top contenders for any of the champions.
Thank you so much, Eric. And what do you guys think that should be an advantage for this fight? I know that Gary Sullivan has a great moment right now. He was in the mix for Golovkin in May. He was in the mix for Canelo in September. So he needs to prove that he deserves this spot as the elite fighter. And David Lemieux believes that he has the experience, the best opposition right now before this fight to win this fight.
I guess David, I guess David, you can answer first. I mean, how do you feel about being in this big position on this undercard, and do you feel you'll be ready if you win the fight to fight, the winner of Canelo Golovkin?
Definitely. I've been waiting for an opportunity like this for a while now. I'm ready to get back on top, and I'm very confident that I'm gonna not just beat O'Sullivan, but look amazing against him. So I'm extremely confident, and I can't wait for fight night. Give the fans what they want to see.
The same, Chava. Was it the same question for Gary O'Sullivan?
Yeah.
I guess the same question for you, Gary.
Yeah. What is the question?
The question was, how do you feel being in this big spotlight? And if you win the fight, do you think that, you would be in position to fight the winner? Do you think that qualifies you to fight the winner of Canelo Golovkin?
Yeah, for sure. I will win the fight, for sure. I think David has had his chance before against Golovkin, and he got destroyed. And I think he's going to get destroyed again on September 15th, and I'll be more than ready for Golovkin or Canelo. Put on fantastic display against David, and I'm going to just destroy him.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question in the queue comes from Dan Raphael from ESPN.
Thank you very much. First question is for David. David, you there?
I'm there.
Hey, David. Obviously, this fight is a most totally different style in terms of the matchup that you had with Saunders. But I wonder, I know that there's been a lot of conversation that the winner of this fight could perhaps go on and challenge the winner of the main event. I wonder, with a loss to Saunders that was totally one-sided, you did score a victory in your last fight in May against a journeyman opponent. You also had a fight in there that was canceled because you didn't make weight. I wonder, why do you think that a win over Gary O'Sullivan should put you into a title fight?
Well, going back in the last few years, I've been working against a lot of injuries that has been now fixed and it's been put in the past. I'm in tremendous shape and I'm feeling great. I can use both my hands, I can use everything. I can use all my tools. So I think Lemieux's back and I'm about to demonstrate what I'm going to do against O'Sullivan on September 15th. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised what I bring to the table, and it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm not the guy I was against Saunders.
When you look at a David Lemieux resume, you see several solid names on there. Some fights you won, sometimes fights you lost. When you look at Spike's record, he's got a great record also, but he doesn't have necessarily the level of opposition that you have. When you look at his record, what do you see?
Well, I see whenever the opposition got difficult that he lost. He also quit when the opposition was really intense against Eubanks. So there's some flaws in his abilities that I'm gonna take into consideration. And on fight nights, I'm gonna execute and I'm gonna use that against him.
All right, very good. I have a question for Spike also. My good friend Spike, are you there?
I am done, yeah.
My question for you is, when you look at Lemieux's resume, he's been a world champion. He's fought some of the best fighters, including Triple G, some other guys. What makes you think that you're in position to take him out in this fight and move on to your goals of fighting for a world title?
Well, you referred to my defeat against Eubank. I got an injury in that fight. I didn't quit. My corner pulled me out. I think the quitter amongst us here is David himself. I watched this fight with him. Since it came up that I was going to fight him, I didn't know a great deal about him. When I seen him getting booked by Billy Joe Saunders, I watched him fight Rubio, and he gave up there. He got knocked down easily. He talked about knocking me down and putting me out cold and all this. I've never even been on the canvas in my entire career. Out of the two of us, he's the only one that's been down. He's been down numerous times. He's been beaten by several different opponents of several different stylistic fights, like Rubio and Golovkin and Saunders, all different style of fighters have beaten him. So I think it's going to be a really good night for me, and I'm going to shine. And it's going to be nice beating former world champion as well, because it's going to be really nice and looks good on paper.
Do you look at this matchup with David as an opportunity to have sort of like your coming out party? Because you've had some televised fights in America. You fought Antoine Douglas on television. Obviously, the fight was with Abreu the night before. Triple G's fight was televised, but this is the first real big name opponent that you will be in with. Do you view it as sort of the Gary Spike O'Sullivan coming out party?
I believe so. I would agree with that, Dan. Yeah. I think the night I fought in Quebec was a great fight there, and fought Antoine Douglas. I think Douglas would beat David Lemieux, and I knocked him out, and I think this is meaning. I think Lemieux is going to be an easier fight for me than Douglas. I have no doubt about that.
If you were to win the fight, do you have a preference of the champion that you want to fight, either Triple G or Canelo, one of those two guys?
I have no preference. Both great fighters, and I'd like to fight either one of them.
Okay, and I'd like to just ask David that same question. David, if you win this fight against Gary on the 15th, do you have a preference of who you'd like to fight for the title? Would you like a rematch with Triple G, or would you like to fight Canelo? Which is the guy you want?
Yeah, I'm going to fight Canelo first, and then I'm going to get my rematch versus Triple G.
All right, very good. Thanks a lot, guys.
After I knock out Gary O'Sullivan.
Okay.
Once again, if you have a question,
coming for you.
Please press star 1 at this time to enter into the question queue. The next question comes from Keith Eidick with Boxing Scene.
Yes, my question is for Spike. Spike, David mentioned earlier in the call that he's not the same fighter that he was when he fought Saunders. He said he was injured in training camp in that fight. What do you make of what he has said was the reason why he lost to Billy Joe Saunders?
I think it's just an excuse, to be honest. I look at David and he doesn't look like a guy to train like I do. He doesn't train like he's an athlete and he's like a struggle for weight and a guy that tires easy in a lot of his fights and I don't think he lives right. He doesn't look like a guy that trains as hard as I do, and I don't think he's going to win this fight.
What did you think that night? Did you think it was going to be as convincing of a win for Billy? I know obviously you're very familiar with Billy Joe. Did you think he would beat David in that way?
No, I didn't. I knew he'd kind of beat him. I had a good feeling he'd beat him, but I didn't think he'd beat him as convincingly as I thought. Lemieux was, because being a former world champion and that, and I thought he was a better fighter than prior to that fight. I thought he was better than that, and I didn't know a great deal about him. And the more I looked into him, and obviously I'm fighting him now, so I've watched back a lot of his fights, and I'm not surprised Billy Joe kind of beat him like that. But initially when I was going to watch it first, I didn't think it was going to be as easy as it was for Saunders.
But without giving away any of your game plan or anything, what have you noticed when you've studied David Lemieux?
I think he's one-trick pony. He does the same thing over and over again in all his fights. All the fights I've watched, he's been in. He just does the same thing over and over and over again, and so you know what's going to be coming.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that you think the fight will be even easier for you than the Antoine Douglas fight was. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah, he's more similar in size to me. He doesn't have the range. He's here to be hit, and I hit hard, and I'm accurate, and so I think I'm going to be able to land on him with more frequency than I was on Douglas. Because Douglas was a better boxer. He moved around quite a bit. He had good footwork and speed and longer arms and stuff. So it was a tougher task, I believe, against Douglas than it will be against Lemieux.
Thank you, Spike.
Thank you.
Next question in the queue comes from Mark Ortega with Sporting News.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks a lot. Spike, I wanted to ask you about the fact that you mentioned that you're using sparring partners that Billy Joe Saunders used when he prepared for Lemieux. Billy Joe obviously really dislikes David Lemieux a ton. I'm curious if he went out of his way to kind of offer you some advice on this fight, or if you reached out to him.
Yeah, I think he felt as though Lemieux disrespected him, making up the excuse about his shoulder afterwards and coming out with that crap, So I think that kind of pissed off Billy Joe because, it was very obvious plain to see if Lemieux had 3 arms that night, he still wouldn't have won. But, I think Lemieux pissed him off, and, so he wanted to assist me in getting the sparring partners out or to replicate Lemieux and benefit me to get plenty of sparring in with them so I can go up his ass as well.
After the Billy Joe fight that you weren't 100%, that you were dealing with some injury stuff, but you say for this fight you're on your game and you're in shape. If this fight doesn't work out for you, what do you think that says about you? Like, I'm wondering if this fight doesn't go your way, do you reconsider if this is something that is boxing, like, at this level, really what David Lemieux is capable of?
This fight is definitely going to go my way. You guys watch and see, and I'm going to make Spike eat all his words, finding excuses against Billy Joe that I had an injury or whatever. And I have no excuses. I'm just giving facts. But now I'm 100%. So let's see what happens on September 15th. So the talk is done. Let's just walk the walk. So now let's see what's up.
And then my last question is, this obviously is meant to be like a really action-packed fight. You guys both come forward. Are you guys looking to steal the show from, obviously it's the biggest fight of the year in the main event, but are you guys kind of looking to turn some heads just with this being an action-packed fight?
I will steal the show. I've no doubt about that. I'm going to steal the show in spectacular fashion. I'm going to absolutely obliterate Lemieux. It's not personal, David, it's not personal. I wish you good health with your family after the fight, man. It's not personal, but you're just in my road, and I got to get you out of my road to get to the bigger fights. And, as I say, I wish you health in the future, man, and wish you a happy time with your family. But, I'm sorry, but you're in my way, and I'm just going to have to beat you,
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to beat your ass. It's not going to be no walk in the park. Don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I'm not coming here to lose. I'm going to come here to destroy you. You'll see September 15th. Don't take me like me. Keep training hard at the gym. You're going to need it. You're going to need every round you're going to need, trust.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring my dog's lead to bring you for a walk then. On the night.
Yeah, what?
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
The next question in the queue comes from Constantino Garcia from Ring TV.
Yes, to both fighters, my question is, how do you predict this fight will end?
I'm going to stop there, David.
Sullivan out.
You know what? There's a big problem. You're joining the cameras. I've never been on the floor my whole career.
On the floor. It's the first time for everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hard. Trust me. Keep talking. You're going to see.
Yeah.
You're not in there with me. You're in...
And my second question to both fighters is, how do you see the main event playing out?
I think Golovkin has the edge. It's going to be an interesting fight. Canelo's a great fighter. Golovkin's a great fighter. I thought it was it was Golovkin's fight in the first one, so we'll see how they train. I think if Canelo really wants to fight, he's got the talent to do it. But I think Golovkin's not an easy fighter to beat.
I think it's going to be an interesting fight. It's hard to call. The first fight was a very good fight, and I expect this one to be a very good fight. I'm not sure who's going to win it. It's going to be interesting to watch, though.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Once again, if you do have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Next question in the queue comes from Mike Coppinger, The Ring.
Hi, another question for you, Spike. You said that you've improved a lot since your 2 losses on the top of the level, and you were impressive against Antoine Douglas. I'm wondering how specifically do you think you've improved?
Specifically, I'm more dedicated in my training. I'm a proper athlete these days. I'm very dedicated in my training, which I wasn't always throughout my career. But in this past, I suppose, around 2 years, I've been very dedicated and been like a proper athlete. And I think Spike now against the old Spike, there's no comparison. I can see that in my weight. I make weight really easy now, and I look different. My body shape is different to before, and it's easier when I come to training camp now. I just work on my technique and boxing skills rather than like what David does, losing weight in camp. I used to do that one time as well myself, and it's not so good. You work more. It's more like Weight Watchers than training camp for a fight. So that's the difference in me right now.
Right. And how much do you believe in momentum and confidence? You're coming off the big win over Douglas on the same card that David lost to Saunders. How much will that play into the fight, you think?
Sorry?
I'm sorry. I was saying, how much do you believe in momentum? You know, being that you beat Douglas on the same card in December that David lost to Saunders.
Well, I believe obviously the momentum is with me, and the fresher fighter. I believe David's time has come and gone. You know, he's had his time in the past, and he's had a few, heavy losses. He's got a number of hell of beatings, and so I think the ball is certainly in my court.
All right, and questions for David. You know, you talked a lot about the injury against Saunders. Just how bad was your shoulder, and did you have to have surgery?
Actually, surgery was it was pretty bad. Surgery was definitely something I looked into, but I didn't want to be off for a full year, so I tried to avoid it as much as I could. And leading up to the Saunders fight, I said it's gonna be okay, but obviously it wasn't. So we tried different things, and finally. We tried different things and something worked, and it's been good ever since. So we're sticking with that plan, and it's been going great. So we don't need the surgery right now. So I keep training, and everything is solid. I got my left hand back, so I'm back to 100% and not 50%.
And what exactly was the injury?
It was a tear in the labrum.
Okay. And lastly, you've been in this position before where, you were coming off the Triple G loss and you were fighting a fellow puncher in Curtis Stevens. And, it was kind of viewed as a coin flip fight, and you got the big knockout. Do you think you can replicate that against Spike?
I think Spike resembles Curtis Stevens' style. But I think he's less of a boxer than Steven was. Maybe a little more of a puncher, because Steven, I didn't feel much of his punches. Maybe he's a bit harder of a puncher, but I'm really not worried. I'm the hardest puncher in the ring on September 15th, so I'm very confident in my abilities and everything I'm gonna bring. I'm gonna be in great shape. I'm concerned about absolutely nothing. All the skeptics, say, is Lemieux gonna come back? Is Lemieux? Well, I'm gonna show you on September 15th. Lemieux's gonna come back, and Lemieux is gonna do a lot of damage in the middleweight division. And the weight issue is no longer an issue.
And the weight issue. How have you cleaned that up?
The weight issue, it's been cleaned up. I've changed a lot of things. As a fighter, I think all fighters know that it's easy to mess up with the weight, but a lot of changes have been made, and I'm stronger than ever, and my body is gonna be much different. So you guys will see on September 15th.
Once again, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touchtone phone. The next question in the queue comes from Giandra Vogt with Boxing Insider.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I have the same question for both of you. Where do you see yourselves in the fight? Do you see yourselves as the face, or do you see yourselves as the underdog?
I see myself as a favorite anyway. I have no doubt about it. Easily, I'm the favorite. I have to be the favorite.
I'm the favorite. I'm the favorite in the fight. Everybody knows that, and there's been some surveys done on the internet, and all of them point out to me. So I think people know what to expect.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Lemieux is back.
You be on your back?
You're gonna see who's gonna be on whose back.
The question in the queue comes from Francisco Martinez from Vilify. Your line is open.
Yes. like to say hello to David and Spike. My first question goes to Spike. There's a lot of young fighters in this Irish boxing scene right now. Is there a young fighter that in particular is keeping an eye on? And does he expect a large Irish crowd come September 15th?
Yeah, there's a guy called John O'Carroll. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's about 15 and 0. He's training at my gym a lot, and he's a good fighter coming up to the ranks. We got him, I think he's the one to watch out for mostly, in my opinion. And I think the Irish love Vegas, and there'll certainly be a good few Irish at the fight.
And my other question is to David Lemieux. David, it seems like coming off a loss, you only get stronger mentally. You have a great knockout over Curtis Stevens, a few big wins. It's like you almost have something to prove mentally going into this fight. Is that how you feel, just coming off the loss, that you have something to prove to show the people that you are an elite level fighter and you just caught a bad break in the Golovkin and Saunders fight?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a lot to prove. People, the last 2 years haven't been in my favor, but things have changed, and I'm ready to be back on top. So I'm ready to give the best of what I got, and I'm ready, and I'm more ready than ever to do it against a guy like Spike O'Sullivan. So let's give the fans a great show.
Thank you both, Spike, and thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions in the queue, I'll turn the call back over to Mr. Gomez.
1 hour.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes the conference call with David Lemieux and Spike O'Sullivan. I want to thank everybody for participating in all the questions. Again, there's still tickets available. They're going fast. We're expecting a sellout. You don't want to miss this fight. David, if you can say a few parting words, please, before we hang up.
Be ready to see David Lemieux back on top. Knock Gary Sullivan out September 15th. I'm back, baby.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, David. Gary, please, a few comments from you before we end the call.
It's nice speaking to you today, Eric. Nice to have this serious conference call, and looking forward to getting lost in you. Training
Great, perfect. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Can't wait to see you guys in action. Don't miss this fight. You won't regret it. So thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Thank you. Have a great day.
See you in
Thank
Vegas.
you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's teleconference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.